Hey, what's up, everybody, and welcome to my 3 Takeaways episode from the Todd McCullough interview this past Monday. I hope you guys really enjoyed listening to Todd. He's always been such an inspiration for me ever since I met him day one here in Nashville. I love everything that he's got going with T-Mac Fitness, his eat, mind right, and sweat, and all those 3 pillars are, to me, what is kind of the foundation of living a healthy life and in turn living your best life, because as I talk about a decent amount is that you have to be your healthiest self in order to be your best self and perform and to be the best at whatever it is that you're doing at that current point in time. So let's go ahead and get right into my 3 takeaways. Number 1 is do something that you believe you can be the best at. And for Todd, this came into play when he was out in California. He left Merrill Lynch, moved out of California, and started hanging up flyers about wanting to talking about how he wanted to train people and everything like that. And he truly felt that if he put in the work, put in the time, put in the energy and effort, that he could actually be the best personal trainer around. He knew he could be good in the financial industry and financial consulting and planning and things of that nature, but he really felt like he could actually be the best personal trainer out there if he devoted his 100% energy. And because he had the passion for it, he knew he was willing to be able to devote that kind of energy. So it's about finding whatever it is that you're willing to do on nights and weekends, like he talked about, that you're willing to commit so much time and energy towards becoming the best, and then going and doing that, because you don't want to work too hard about things that you don't truly believe that you can grow in and excel in, right? That's what part of our fulfillment comes from, is being great at whatever it is that we do. So we want to try to excel at something that is already a current strength, but we still have plenty of room for growth in. Takeaway number 2 is that you don't have time to complain or to sit around and lick your wounds, is what he talked about. You know, after he got laid off at Merrill Lynch, boom, right away, he started handing out flyers in no time. And he talked about how that's kind of what team sports taught him, that you don't have time to sit around and mope around. It's time to get back to work and start improving again and get back to practice. And I think that is such a great lesson from sports, because no matter what sports you play or how many sports you play, you're going to lose. Not everybody wins 100% of the games, and you're going to fail plenty of times. So it's about getting back up as quickly as possible and taking that next action step towards improving. And I talked about during the interview is that Ed Mylett talks about everybody's going to fail and everybody's going to get back up. But what's that gap time in between? That's what separates good from great. You know, everybody will get up at some point, but if that gap time is shorter, then that's going to behoove you in the best way possible moving forward. We don't have time to just sit and lick our wounds. And that's what Todd was great at. He immediately hustled, immediately went after what he wanted to achieve. And takeaway number 3 is figure out what works best for you. I can't stress this enough, and I honestly need to repeat it to myself every single day, because, you know, I'm constantly listening to podcasts, watching YouTube videos of inspirational, motivational type people and learning about different things. And I always find myself seeing somebody else's story and being like, oh my gosh, that's not what mine is like. Like, I'm not going to be as successful as them. But no, I am constantly reminding myself everybody's story is different. What works for you is not going to work for me. Everybody's going to find their unique thing. So I talked about my morning routine in Todd's interview, and he talked about how when he was out in California, he went out and dove into the Pacific Ocean when it was freezing cold. Obviously, not all of you are going to go out into diving in the Pacific Ocean in that freezing cold water. Not all of you are going to wake up and do the 3 gratitudes and do all the things that I do and read the Bible in the morning. But those are what works for us, and it takes time to figure out what works for you. Tinker with these different things, but you have to at least try these things and experiment to see what actually works. But again, I want to remind you that I try to give you guys these takeaways and these tools so that you can kind of experiment with them yourself. Some of these things are what works for me. Some of these things are what works for other people. So try and figure out what works best for you, because some things that will work for them will work for you no matter what. And I think that's just, one of the biggest things. Like I said, I have to remind myself every single day. Your story is not my story. My story is unique. What works for me is going to work for me. And I got to continue repeating that to myself every single day. So again, my 3 takeaways: do something that you believe you can be the best at, because that's the only way that you'll spend nights and weekends doing that thing. You don't have time to complain or sit around and lick your wounds. Minimize the gap time from falling to getting back up. And number 3, figure out what works best for you. And 3, 2, 1. Have a good one.